Surprise, surprise, a new hit piece has just dropped on Pete Hegseth. And it's interesting given the fact that, well, the first one didn't work. So you got to cook up another one. This time it's NBC News. All of a sudden, surprise, surprise, they found 10 anonymous sources to tell them that Pete has a drinking problem. Now, again, folks, anonymous. So I don't trust it. But they claim to be 10 both current and former Fox employees. Now, if you've been following me, you know I've worked at Fox. So we're going to go through this. We're going to go through it pretty quickly. Ultimately, what they're saying is that they thought he had a drinking problem. They'd come into work smelling like alcohol, that they had to check in on him to make sure he was going to be at the office the next day. I mean, it's all garbage. Don't waste your time reading it. I could tell you, I've spoken with people. I've been messaging people throughout last night, and I've been talking to them literally on the phone throughout the morning. And I've been talking to both people who do host with him on Fox and Friends. And I've also been speaking with producers. And obviously, during my time there, I didn't deal directly with Pete, but I did work in the control room over at Fox and Friends a couple of times. And I've also worked on various shows, booking shows, producing shows. And not a single person, and we gossip. We used to gossip all the time. Not a single person had anything negative to say about Pete. Okay. So just understand that. Also, understand that when I was calling around, people who literally sit next to him on that same couch tell me that they've never smelled alcohol on his breath. People like who, and he openly said this on X, so I could say this out publicly, but people like Joey Jones, who is actually the reason why I'm a Republican these days, or conservative, I'll say, because of him. He's a great human being, but he literally said that if he smelled anything on Pete's breath, that he would become really upset because he doesn't like the smell of alcohol and he doesn't drink. So, guys, what you're seeing is an actual hit piece. And what they're trying to do is just credit Pete from being able to get confirmed. So they're trying to make it seem like he's got a drinking problem. He might have a sexual assault issue in his closet. All of it's garbage. Who's doing this? The warmongers. You and I both know it. They're afraid that their wars are going to come to an end, that the funds are going to come to an end, and they're hitting the panic button. We see this time and time again. It's not anything new. So I took it upon myself earlier today to send out a letter. And I'm going to continue to send it to all US senators in my letter. Specifically, I'm talking about not knowing Pete directly, but working around him, working with his colleagues, his producers who literally referred him for me to book on other shows. And not a single person had anything negative to say about him. Still to this day, I'm talking to people privately because I'm an independent journalist, and not a single person over at Fox has anything negative to say about this man. So when they put out this hit piece, which they're probably going to bring up while trying to get him confirmed, you know, the left, they love to do that. The slander campaign is going to come to an end because not only am I going to be willing to put my name out there and say that I've never heard of any of these accusations ever in my life, but people who have literally sat on that same couch are also coming out on X and posting that they never had these issues either. My friend, guest on the show, Kyle Becker, who is also a Fox producer, has worked with Pete as well. Again, had no issue with Pete. So while we're willing and ready to give our names forward, the other side, the magical 10 employees who are too afraid of retaliation to give their names and add any credibility to these accusations, they're not going to put their names out there. And I think that's so weak. You guys, all week I've been getting calls from individuals who aren't happy with the nominees because some of them are a little personally offended that they have not gotten called in for interviews for cabinet picks. And so they give me all these anonymous tips. And I don't run anonymous tips because that's not journalism. You should be able to defend yourself when people come forward and try to slander you. It's common sense. For anyone to sit there and publish it and say that there's 10 individuals who are coming forward and saying that you're a horrible person who is a drunk, get the hell out of here. Now, listen, Pete seems like a very strong person. Earlier today, he was walking around because he's having meetings with senators. So he's walking around with his wife, and he really just kind of laid it out flat that he spoke with President Trump earlier this morning. Take a listen.
I spoke to the president-elect this morning. He said, keep going, keep fighting. Behind you all the way.
So you're in this all the way.
Why would I back down? I've always been a fighter. I'm here for the more fighters. This is personal passion for me.
You're not withdrawing your name from consideration, just to be clear.
We're meeting all day with senators.
just to be clear, you're not going to withdraw your name from consideration. No, you fool. You don't give in to the mob because it's not going to stop at you. It's going to keep going. That's what they always do. That's what they always do. And well, last night this other story dropped, and it was actually borderline. Well, I can't say this because my mom's gonna get mad at me. It was stupid. Okay. The Wall Street Journal, which is actually owned by the same people that own Fox, floated this rumor out there that Pete is potentially going to get replaced by Governor Ron DeSantis. Now, there's different levels and tiers of stupidity, but this one, all time high, given the fact that Governor Ron DeSantis is well liked here in Florida as our governor. Obviously, he tried to run for president. That didn't go as planned. And I'm pretty sure it wouldn't go well if he shifted from his governor role to going to DC to work at the Pentagon. Not ideal. Okay. You don't back down. President Trump knows this quite well after several women came forward and made bogus accusations against him. So, yeah, I think President Trump is going to be in the fight with Pete and not back down. It would be foolish to even float this idea as if there's any legitimacy behind it. But again, the media jumped on it because they're trying to cause a massive rift. They're trying to not only discredit him, get into his head, trying to get Pete to withdraw. And you don't withdraw. You don't back down. And there was another story too we should probably talk about as well, which is obviously another deeply concerning one, but it's being debunked, thankfully, very, very quickly. As many of you guys know, we had Sean Parnell on this program as well. Sean's come on this show to talk about working with Pete Hegseth, and again, likes the guy, only spoke highly of him. And he's not just saying that because he's on air. He's also told me this privately as well. Likes him a lot. Okay. And he also knows what it's like to have a hit piece thrown at you. But there was this report that a former trustee confirmed that now it's confirmed that this was a lie, that Pete Hegseth voluntarily resigned as president of a veteran advocacy group in 2016. Now, initially, they were trying to say that he was ousted over drinking misconducts. It's all garbage. Again, its own trustee just completely debunking it and put out a letter to do just that. So again, more lies being cooked up and tossed out there. It's actually pretty disgraceful that Pete even has to defend himself and continue to defend himself, because it shouldn't be happening in the first place. You shouldn't be able to make up lies about people, then pretend it's journalism to hide behind an anonymous source or 10 anonymous sources. And then when that doesn't work, you just keep throwing more stuff out there and hoping that something sticks. But if you guys remember, we did a whole walkthrough. I've read through the entire police report in regards to a sexual assault allegation, and we'll go through it again quickly, and I'll just highlight some of the key points that just say it was slander from the very beginning. Obviously, there was an agreement, and that's not strange, between Pete and the woman involved in this report. And that's not strange given the fact that when you look at how expensive legal battles are, most logical people would settle a potential lawsuit that's going to come their way to fend off the thousands of dollars off to pay in defense fees. Because also, not some courts will actually punish the person who loses. So you'll have to pay for the plaintiff's legal fees and your own legal fees. And that's a massive gamble. So if someone comes forward and says, hey, listen, I want $30,000 and I'll shut up about it, you'll pay the $30,000. Now, we don't know what the exact settlement money was, just to be clear. But according to Pete's lawyer, apparently they settled for a number that was lower than what they came in the front door looking for. Common sense. You settle. It's not an admission of guilt. It's get out of my life, shut up, and leave me alone. So back to the police report. This police report is really just a nothing burger. But given the fact that it's an accusation regarding sexual assault, the media just ran that as the headline and didn't talk about what was actually in it. Now, just a brief overview. The woman in this report admits that she was heavily intoxicated, or sorry, not intoxicated, that she doesn't remember anything. That's the best way to phrase it, because witnesses there don't remember her being intoxicated. But she says she doesn't remember things, that she blacked out through a lot of it. And then if you look at this, and please excuse me as I get a little graphic, but on this page of the police report that you see on your screen right now, Jane Doe is what the police report refers to her as. She actually openly admits to asking Pete about a condom. Now, I am not an expert in regards to sexual assault, but I cannot imagine somebody asking for their rapist to put on a condom before doing so, because it's not really how that sounds like that works. But everyone missed this line. I mean, it's clear as day. And Pete even says that to police as well, that there was this discussion of protection. So a married woman somehow ends up in Pete's hotel room. The two of them have sex. whether this woman was under some influence of something. The report pretty much says, based on the cameras, based on everything, she doesn't look like she's under the influence of anything. They've only been able to confirm that she had one drink. Pete, they said, it looked like he was maybe had one too many beers. Pete would probably be the victim in this if we were all playing fair, but obviously we don't do that these days. But again, media left all of this out. So the slander campaign is going to continue on because, let's be honest, folks, there's something about Pete that's a real threat to the warmongers and the regime, and they don't want him to lead the Pentagon. So we're going to talk about this in just a few moments with Rob O'Neill, who knows him, and he's very close with him. But I think it's really important to push this out there. You need to call your senators and tell them that you want them to confirm Pete Hegseth. As you guys see here, this is one of my favorite accounts to follow. MAGA Kitty posted this, and it's pretty based. Hashtag only Pete. And that's the mood that we need to be putting out there. We need to be telling all of our senators that we're done with this. We're not going to allow them to continue to bash people without any evidence, without any people who are willing to put their names on any of this. It's Pete and only Pete. We're not going to switch up our nominee. He will be leading the Pentagon, and you either get in line or you get replaced. I am all about setting goals, and I do so for this show all the time. We've just set a December goal. We're looking to expand, and we need your help. As a relatively new show, we're looking to bring more people on so that they can help my research, because it's a lot of hours that go into putting on this show. So if you'd like to support my work, head on over to supportbre.com. That's supportbre.com. We're looking for 1,000 audience members to donate $5 per month. So that's literally $5 a month, and that will help us out significantly. If you'd like to contribute, head on over to supportbre.com. This is all done through DonorBox, so it is safe, it is secure. I promise you that. So head on over to supportbre.com. Please consider making that $5 donation a monthly donation, because when you do, it's going to help us expand. And it's secure, like I said. You could pay with Apple, credit card, Amazon Pay, Cash App, bank transfer, whatever you want to do. So again, head over to supportbre.com, make that $5 donation. Please make it a monthly donation because we greatly appreciate it.